You said what?
Any injuries?
Any injuries?
Yeah.
Oh, man. No, no injuries. I'm a little banged up. It's a lot of games. It's a little different. Not as much time in between. So, I think body's adjusting. But, I'm getting with, strength coaches, medical staff, everybody, and be all right.
What kind of happened in that first play in the first quarter against Grayson Allen that sent you to the locker room?
Yeah, I think I was trying to like swipe through to go up, and he had just kind of hit or grabbed or something happened, and my arm kind of just got a little yanked. So just a little stinger. It hurt for a little minute.
Was that a re-aggravation of the shoulder that you've kind of been dealing with since that Thunder game?
I think so. I think that's part of it. I think body's a little run down. You got some nagging, stuff going on, but nothing we can't play through. So just gotta keep pushing, keep going.
How do things kind of change for you guys when PJ went out?
I mean, PJ's an incredible player for us. He's been really, key this year for us and been really big. Just making a ton of different plays and impacting the game at a high level. But, somebody goes down, you got to be able to have guys step up and, fill roles. And, we didn't get the win, but I thought, a lot of guys stepped up, big moments. And I thought we had a really good fight down the stretch. And, we made it a game and we were right there again. So, just got to keep giving ourselves chances.
Cooper, how difficult is it to win games when you turn the ball over 21 times?
Yeah, that's definitely a problem. It's very difficult to answer your question. It's very difficult to win games when you turn over the ball that many times. So I think that's something we have to clean up for sure.
You had a block on D-Book that left all of our jaws dropped. That was incredible. Just what was it like to go up against D-Book tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. He plays with really unique pace. He plays at his own speed, gets to his spots. He doesn't let the defense dictate where he goes. He's dictating the play at all times, and so he's a tough guy to guard, and we had to throw a lot of different looks at him, and he made a lot of really good plays tonight. So a lot of credit to him.
We've talked to you about the physicality. I mean, you saw Lou Dort in one of the first few games of your career. Tonight you see Dylan Brooks. What are you thinking about this kind of level of physicality? Jason Kidd, said you're going to have a book of, the how-tos against the best defenders in the league here too.
Yeah, it's just learning. It's a lot of learning experiences, and I'm just so blessed to be where I am and have these opportunities to be put in these moments, and just have a coach that trusts me and throw me into the fire and just let me play and be who I am. So it's obviously there's some growing pains, and like you said, way too many turnovers and that sort of thing. So we got to get better at handling the ball and handling pressure, but these moments and experiences are invaluable for sure.
Would you say that physicality has been the toughest adjustment for you to the NBA?
I don't know if that's the toughest thing. It's definitely one of the toughest things for sure. I think the physicality, the pace, the spacing, just getting used to all those different things has been challenging, but it's nothing crazy.
Cooper, what was your reaction to the news yesterday that Nico was fired?
I mean, for me, it's about basketball. Obviously, I didn't have an incredibly long relationship with Nico, but from when I knew him, he seemed like a really great guy, and we had a really solid relationship. End of the day, I'm here to play basketball, and whatever goes on, above me, it's above me. So I can't worry about it too much. Just gonna keep trying to show up and be who I am and try and get better every single day.
With now Matt Riccardi and Michael Finley stepping into the assistant GM, it's pretty crazy to think you've had 3 GMs over your first 12 games. You said a little bit that it's just about basketball, but has this been a challenge? Has it been a distraction just with the outside noise as you begin your career?
I mean, there's always noise. There's been noise through college. I mean, there was noise when I was in high school. I mean, obviously, as you go from level to level, it gets more and more, and there's a lot, might get more challenging to deal with. But there's always going to be noise. There's always social media now. Just in today's day where we're growing up and going through, there's, social media is a big part of that, and you just have to find ways to deal with it. There's always going to be distractions. There's always going to be stuff going on, people saying, hate, whatever. So, it's just something we have to deal with. I mean, we're professionals, and we just got to continue to do our job and keep basketball at the forefront and continue to worry about that.
What do you think about the energy of the fans, specifically here in the fourth quarter when you guys were coming back, trimmed in 3 compared to what's it been throughout the year?
I think we have not given the fans a lot to love. So I think that is part of it. and I think we take a lot of responsibility on that, and having lost the fans a little bit, and I think how we given them a lot more to cheer for and be up for in the fourth quarters, and be into it, and giving them more wins. I think we might look at it a little differently. So I think we can take a lot of responsibility for that. But I mean, the fans have been there. I mean, they stepped up tonight. They were huge. They were loud. They were positive. So I just want to look forward and try and continue to give them things to be positive for, and just show up and be happy that they can support us. And I'm just glad they show up for us.
What was going through your mind on the dunk? You did all the hard work, got to the rim, and it just I couldn't believe it. No.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Kind of like I said, it's a lot of games. Got to deal with it. Whether I didn't have my legs or whatever tonight. Got to just continue to make plays, and like you said, did all the work, got down there. Sometimes you miss shots. It's the same thing as that. It's unfortunate, but got to kind of look past it and kind of move on to the next play.
Cooper, Booker talked about your first interaction with him at Team USA a couple years ago. Can you talk about that interaction between the two of you for the first time?
Yeah, I think being at the select camp, the select team. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, he's an incredible player, and that whole experience for me was just such a learning experience of just being around. I mean, such high-level guys. I mean, all those guys will be Hall of Famers someday. So just to have that experience for me was huge. Just to learn a lot from them. I learned a lot from him, and I was able to see firsthand, the way he plays and his pace and the way he manipulates the game. So I would just say that it was such a eye-opening and learning experience for me going into my freshman year of college. Just being able to have that experience for sure.
Cooper, what's one area you would like more coaching this year?
More.
Just name one area where you'd like more coaching.
More coaching. I mean, I think Coach Kidd is coaching me great. He's incredibly helpful. I mean, he knows the game, better than I do at this point. He has so many more experiences than me. So, I have so much trust in Coach Kidd and his vision and what he sees for me. So, however he sees fit to, coach me and teach me, this game, I'm going to, give him 100% of my ability and my mindset, and I'll just let him coach me however he sees fit.
Where you shot 3 for 7 from 3, just what were some things you were seeing in the defense to get those shots off?
I mean, I think it's something I said in the last post game. Is you got to know your scouting report the other teams are going to have for you. I haven't shot it great to start the year, so teams are going to go under screens and give that up. So you have to just be willing and confident and just trust the work.
After the NBA on prom game for you guys, Dirk kind of offered some advice to you. I'm curious to know, has he personally reached out to you? Do you guys have any working relationship?
Yeah, I've met up with Dirk a couple times, and he's just voiced to me that if I ever need anything, he'll be around, and he wants to kind of be in my corner and be there for me. So, I mean, he's a busy guy. Obviously, he has a lot of his own stuff going on, but I'd love to be able to meet up with him soon and continue to grow our relationship. Obviously, he's a legend here in Dallas, so that would be amazing for me. And yeah, I mean, he's just giving me advice, and he's just there. He's just going to be in my corner, so I'm excited to grow that relationship for sure.
Cooper, Brandon Williams has been in the starting lineup alongside you for the past few games. What do you think has led to him being so solid, being so dominant as of late?
I'd say his energy. I think B will, he plays with incredible energy every night. Obviously, he's incredibly fast, so that helps him out. He uses his speed really well. But I think it's his attitude as well, and it's just him showing up every single day. There was games where he wasn't, playing much. He went through a little injury to start training camp and to start the year, and I think his attitude's just been incredible. For a guy that has really, gone through it at every level. From the two-way to the, getting a contract and that sort of thing. His attitude has just been incredible, and he just, exemplifies what it means to just be a hard worker and show up and do his job every single day. So, I have so much respect for B. Will, and he's been great for us so far, and he's going to continue to grow as well.
What's your impression on what you guys got from Musa?
You said what?
What's your impression on what you guys got from Musa?
Musa, I mean, Musa, man, he plays so hard. I love playing with Musa. He's just everywhere. He's a freak athlete. Sometimes he's not even thinking, but he's just making plays. Like, he's not scared or anything. He's so fearless out there on the court, and So, you know, you have a guy like that, it's a freak athlete and just plays incredibly hard. It's a good combination for sure. And, you know, we're going to get him up to speed with, you know, all the coverages and everything. But that's something you can't teach is just how hard he plays. And, you know, on every possession, just working as hard as he can. And that's going to be huge for us.